Okay, so 6 months ago I bought this Mac Mini, and I said at that time at the first video, which is on the other channel on the Talent Universe, that I'm replacing my MacBook Pro 2017 with this Mac Mini M2, which is the base version. Now this video comes as a conclusion, and I'm coming here to tell you guys if it was worth it and if I actually need to replace this guy right here or not, if it's enough for me or if I need more. So let's see. We'll start with the design and ergonomics. Not a lot to talk about here. The design is so simple that it's so boring and so beautiful at the same time. A small brick which basically fits everywhere. And I like that. It simply doesn't take space. I keep my audio interface over it and it just works. And even though it is small, it has a lot of interfaces. You have 2 USB-Cs, 2 USB-As, Ethernet and HDMI. And if you still don't have enough interfaces, you can use one of the USB-Cs, which are also Thunderbolt, and plug in a dongle. I'm using one of those and I get some extra USB-As and USB-C and an extra HDMI. That's more than enough for me, and also there's that dock which plugs in underneath the Mac Mini, so you won't use any extra space. Like if that was an issue in the first place. Also, it is very silent. I think I've managed to hear the fan only once since I got this machine. And I know it is working, especially when I'm doing heavy stuff on it, but it's just too silent. It doesn't bother me at all. Now let's talk about the basic usage and the experience overall. So I press the power button and it loads up in seconds. Then I introduce the password and it takes a few more seconds to load up completely. When used for basic stuff like casual browsing, document research, or some graphic stuff like Adobe Express or Canva, it works perfectly. Absolutely no issue, no lag, smooth and nice. As for the main browser, I'm using Brave, and I have moments when I simply forget how many tabs I have open, especially when I do research for a video. I got moments when there are 30 to 35 tabs open and it simply doesn't slow down. Also, I do a lot of work in Google Drive for scripts, presentations, spreadsheets, and that also works in the browser. Again, no issues to report. Canva and Adobe Express are also working fine, even when working with more than 10-15 elements in the project. Overall, I would say that for the tasks that the average users are doing, you can rely on this little guy. And even a bit more above that. Speaking of which, let's talk about the performance. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of benchmarks or synthetic tests. I believe that they are relevant in a way, but usually that's when the product launches. In my case, the practical approach is more important. So, what do I use this Mac Mini for? Video editing in both DaVinci Resolve and Adobe Premiere Pro, music production in Studio One, and a bit of gaming. But that's just a bit of Dota 2. We'll talk about that as well. Let's begin with video editing. So, Macs are being marketed in a certain way, as in being very good for productivity. Even this base version. However, this is valid only in some certain situations. You see, Apple has its own codec for video files. It is called ProRes. Now, a codec is basically a format which dictates how the data is being compressed in a file. The main reason? The information is being compressed in order to make it easier to be transferred. So, data is being compressed, transferred, and then decompressed and used. This whole process is happening in the background. Codecs are different. Some of them are used for efficiency, but compromise when it comes to the information that they can retain. These are also being fairly easy to process by pretty much any machine. Some of them are used for keeping as much of the raw information, but require much more processing power to be handled. It can also go the other way around. Hard to process, but not a lot of information, or easy to process and a lot of information. In that regard, ProRes is probably one of the best codecs out there. However, it is not that easy to shoot in ProRes. There are just a few cameras out there which can shoot in ProRes internally. For example, if I want to shoot in ProRes with my Sony a7 III, I need to use an external recorder like the Atomos Ninja 5. However, I can still record in 4K up to 30 frames per second, but in Sony's proprietary format, which is called XAVCS. And it's not the best. I like the quality, I like the fact that I can record in S-Log 2, 3 or Cinelog, which also allows me to do some correction and colorization afterwards, but it is quite laggy on this machine. Now, when editing in DaVinci Resolve, simple playback is fine, even after making all the cuts on the clips. However, adding transitions or effects is worsening the experience quite a lot. It's simply not usable at those points where I put the transitions or maybe a clip on which I have applied a specific effect. Simply not usable. I just cannot play back at those specific points. If I want to see what I've done, I need to render and export everything and then watch it on a different player. And no, proxies are not helping at all. Not in DaVinci. Yes, it doesn't block or lag, but it still slows down drastically when it reaches a point where I have a transition or an effect. Now, Adobe Premiere Pro, at least from my experience, is a bit better. You can actually see what you're doing most of the time, but it's still not a lot better than DaVinci. When it comes to music production, here things are getting a bit better. I personally didn't have a specific issue. You can record yourself with auto-tune, real time, without any latency. When it comes to the number of tracks after the machine starts to struggle, I haven't managed to find that number yet. I think the biggest project that I've had on this machine had something like 30 tracks, and yes, is not as smooth as at the beginning, but nothing really to worry about. MIDI, recording guitars, recording voice, mixing, mastering, all of this are working just fine. It will do the job for you. So if you're looking to buy this machine for music production, as long as you don't have like projects with 100, 200 tracks, you'll be more than fine. I think it's a good starting point actually. However, if you're looking to game on this thing, I would say think twice. I said that I only play Dota, and I think it is relevant because Dota is not the most consuming game out there. Yes, it is consuming in general, but compared with some of the releases that have come in the past years, Dota is basically nothing. Games like this, like Dota, League of Legends, CS2, they need to have a higher frame rate and a small ping because you're playing online, you're playing real time with other people from other cities or even countries. When it comes to Dota 2, the best that I could get was 120 frames per second, and that was on the lowest settings. Now, weird behavior from the Mac. So when you're going to the maximum settings, somehow you still manage to get that 120 frames per second, but the drop rate is increasing too rapidly, if I can say it like that. Yes, everything is nice and all, but when you start to play on a server, everything goes downhill very fast. So yeah, not good for gaming at all. Oh, and when you start streaming, because I'm also doing that on this machine, you can't even play Dota at the lowest settings. So look for something else. And also when it comes to streaming, I'm doing live streams on the other channel, and I managed to use Studio One without any issue, because that's what I'm doing. Music production, mixing, mastering, all of them live. Using OBS, everything is going well. Now let's jump to some conclusions and see who is this machine for. First things first, do I regret it? Absolutely not. I still believe that the ratio between what you get and what you pay is very good. For $600 to get something with 8 gigs of RAM, thank you Apple, and 256 gigs of storage, thank you Apple again. It might sound crazy, but it is fine. Just fine. As I said before, 8 gigs of RAM on a machine like this will behave faster than 8 gigs of RAM on a normal PC. So I would probably say that if you want to start a journey in music production, vlogging and stuff like this, it is a good starting point. As I said before, it comes with flaws, that's fair enough, but if you are doing basic stuff, which you mostly do when you're at the beginning, you won't go for a lot of effects on your video, or you are going to do like simpler projects, yeah, like under 15-20 tracks per project. That's completely fine. This will handle it perfectly. So now we have the question, what do you do? Do you buy this, keep it for a year and then upgrade it? Yes and no. I mean, if you can go for a higher version, something like with 16 gigs of RAM, which helps a lot, or maybe if you can go for an M2 Pro with 16 or 32 gigs of RAM, you will see much better performances than on this. As I said, this is the base version, which only comes with 8 gigs of RAM, which yes, is too stupid and greedy from Apple, but it's still a decent machine. You can also cut the costs for a machine like this. I'm trying to compare it with the MacBook Air because that one comes obviously with a trackpad, it comes with a keyboard and a screen all included in one package, one slim and very nice package. But that's 2 times more expensive than this. So if you are on a budget and you still want to have a decent performance, you can look towards this Mac Mini. Also, if you're just interested in the basic stuff, like browsing, research, maybe you are a student at the university, again, this is good for you. You can pair it with a decent monitor, which is like 100-200 bucks, and it doesn't take space. I think this is what I love the most about it. So to sum everything up, this machine is good for you if you are either on a budget, or you want to do basic stuff, or you are just starting to produce music and videos, as well as some graphic design here and there. This machine is not good for you if you are editing a lot of 4K, a lot of color correction, color grading, a lot of effects, a lot of video graphics. Neither Fusion or After Effects work well at all. As simple as that. So if you want more performance, go for a bigger budget where you can find M2 or M3 Pro on a MacBook, or even on this machine M2 Pro with 16 or even 32 gigs of RAM. However, in that budget you can also look for a decent Windows machine with 32 gigs of RAM, something like an i7, even an i5 like the 14th generation, and a video graphics card like maybe a 4070 or even a 4060. It will do a much better job than what this little thing can do. Is this a bad product? No, not at all. I believe it serves its purpose. Mac Mini has been underlooked for ages. Apple just didn't care about this at some point. It was that thing which you wouldn't buy because it was bad. It was simply bad. But now with the ARM architecture, it has a lot of potential, and I believe that right now it is a good option for people. Even for me, yes, I will look for something else. I will be looking for something to give me more performance because I need it. I'm trying to level up my video editing and all, but this one will stay here and it will deal with the light stuff. Documents, spreadsheets, presentations, YouTube thumbnails, why not? It will remain active. But for me personally, it cannot remain the daily driver when it comes to video edit. Not at the stage that I'm at right now. And that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. I hope you found it useful. I'm waiting for your feedback down below in the comment section. If you have a Mac Mini, what configuration do you have and what's your experience with it? What do you use it for? And if you are happy with it, if not, are you looking to get one? And if yes, let us know why. As well as general feedback for this channel. I know that this is the first video that we posted here, but many more to come. We have a lot of plans and we are excited for what the future holds for us. Until the next time, don't forget to give us a like, a share and a subscribe. It helps a lot, it motivates us a lot. And yeah, that was me. See you next time. Take care.